Hey, what's going on, everybody? Noah from Cheeky Barbecue here. Today, I'm going to show you how to reverse sear a ribeye steak. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we liberally coat this with salt. Give it a really nice dusting. You can see it gets some good pinching here. Get everything really nice. You can kind of pat it in there so it sticks. Make sure that you get the other side. And the reason why we do this nice and early is because this gives time for the salt to get infused into the meat. The salt's going to pull moisture out of the meat, but then it's going to get reabsorbed and it's going to lend itself to being an incredibly juicy steak. Oftentimes, I don't even add anything else to the steak other than salting it a few hours before. The next thing we want to do is make sure that about an hour before you're going to cook it, put that steak on your counter, let it just get up to room temperature or close to room temperature before you start cooking. You don't want to pull your steak right out of the fridge when it's super cold and then go straight to the hot grill. All right, so now it's time to start cooking. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start the grill. I'm going to turn it up to high to start. And this is really important, while the grill's preheating, I'm going to put in this cast iron skillet. That's what I'm going to use to sear when the steak is done cooking. The reason why I like cooking on cast iron is because you get a really nice, beautiful, even crust on your entire steak. We're going to put it in now while the grill's preheating, because that way it's going to just retain all of that heat while the grill warms up. It's going to be perfect so that by the time that we go to cook our steak and then sear it, that cast iron is preheated and ready to go. So we're going to start it on high. We're going to get that cast iron really, really hot. Then I'm going to drop the grill back down to 225. We're going to throw the steak on, take the steak off, crank the grill back up to 450 or high, sear it on the cast iron. That's the plan. All right, cast iron's been preheating for a while. Now it's time to throw our steak on. Now, one of the things I recommend is using a leave-in probe so that we can monitor the temperature throughout the entire cook. That's the whole advantage of why you do the reverse sear technique. You have full temperature control of your steak the whole time that you're cooking it, and then you sear it off just to finish. So there's two different types of thermometers that we use. There's this leave-in probe style with the cable. If you're using one of the new Pro models or Wi-Fi enabled Traegers, it's going to have a built-in probe for you. The older Pro series is going to have a probe that's built into the Pro digital controller as well. There's also third-party controllers and thermostats you can buy that are going to have a similar function for you. These are really nice, especially when you can set an alarm so that the grill just lets you know when you hit the target temp. We're going to insert this into the ribeye that I've got right here. And I want the tip of this thermometer where the sensor is to be in the middle of the ribeye. That's going to tell me the center temperature of the ribeye. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to set a target temp of 110 degrees. That's when I'm going to pull the steak off, crank the grill back up to high, and then we're going to sear it off in the cast iron. We're looking for a medium rare, 130 to 135 finishing temp. The other thermometer that we can use is called an instant read thermometer. That's going to look like this guy here. There's plenty of companies out there that make some really good ones. These are basically in a few seconds going to tell you the internal temperature of what you're cooking. I usually don't use these until the end when I want to get a little bit more precise temperature, because with this, I can poke this into several different spots in the steak so I can temp it throughout the entire steak. The one that's on the cable, the leave-in probe, we leave it in there so that we have a nice, kind of like a guideline while we're cooking throughout the entire process. So we've got our steak here now with the probe inserted so that the tip of that probe is right about in the middle of the steak. We're leaving the cast iron on here the entire time so that eventually when we finish it, the steak is going in there. All right, so we're sitting right about 100 degrees internal. We're gonna take a really quick look just to make sure that everything's looking okay. Looks great to me. We've got another 10-15 degrees to go. We'll pull it off, crank the grill up to high, get that cast iron even hotter, sear it off to finish. All right, cast iron's been preheating for a while. Now we're gonna throw that steak on. Normally you can throw some butter or some herbs and that kind of thing. Today, I'm just gonna use some avocado oil. Smoking point's around 500 degrees, so it'll be perfect for what we're doing. And yeah, let's check it out. We got the steak on there searing. You can kind of hear it. It's a great sound. I'm gonna set a timer for about 3 minutes. Then we're gonna open it back up, flip it over to the other side, take it off, let it rest for at least 10 minutes. We should be right about medium rare. All right, let's slice into this guy. Perfectly cooked throughout the entire steak with a nice sear on one end and a nice sear on the other end. I mean, just look at how juicy that is. And that's all there is to it, guys. Perfectly cooked steak every single time. Drop me a note, drop a like, drop a comment, shoot me a message if you have any questions. Let me know what you thought of the video.